My outlook is I think 2026 looks like a great year for America. It might even end up being one of the best years this country's ever had. And I think a lot of it has to do with you'll probably see a lot of wins politically with the Trump administration. You're already seeing a lot of deals get put into place, trade deals and things like that, all kinds of stuff, not to mention the tariff money coming in and then taxes, being cut and decreasing and some changes probably happening there soon with the IRS departments. So you're going to see a lot of what Trump put in place this year in 2025 finally take effect and have positive repercussions in 2026, where you now start seeing the results of that. Not to mention whatever he's doing with this dividend dollar thing and stuff like that. So I think that 26 ends up being a year of the results of what Trump did in 2025. It's probably going to be one of the greatest years ever, not just from that standpoint, but you also have spiritual resurgence in this country with Christianity. You also have 250-year anniversary of this country, making it a landmark milestone for the longest country with a constitution that has still stood from its founding and is still currently actively being, pursued and lived by in this country today. Longest constitutional country in world history, America is. So it's going to be a big year. You're going to see a lot of positive things. I think you're going to see a lot of American revival and resurgence and Christian revival and resurgence as well, which we're already seeing. And you're probably going to see a lot more, patriotism might make a huge comeback. You might even see many people who are, were doing bad things, hurting this country for a long time, finally get justice delivered to them. But there's a lot going on. And I feel like the spirit and the energy is that there's going to be a good year ahead of us with 2026. With that said, it's uncertain, but there's a good chance we have a really bad downturn after that, because that's just typically how things tend to go. And there are other factors that are, going to play a role in the future. I don't want to talk about everything on this podcast right now because we are already at the end of the podcast. So we'll do other episodes about this throughout the year to get to that when we get closer to that point. But essentially, you'll probably see 2026 being a booming economic year, a great year to take advantage of, your investments or building your business or, advancements in your job, working harder to get that next position, promotion, whatever. Take advantage. I think 2026 is going to be a good year for that. 2027, on the other hand, I have a feeling we're going to end 26 and go into 27 on a huge economic downturn. And 2027 might end up being a mirror of 2007. So 20 years later, around the same thing happening, where 26 was a great year, 2006 was a great year. I think it was actually the highest year. Home prices soared, the highest they ever had in American history, and it was just a huge year. But a lot of it was built on fraud and waste and abuse, and a lot of that stuff Trump's cleaning up now. But back then, they didn't clean it up. It was just being done. And that's why we went through that recessionary period with the great financial crisis, the housing market crash. I think 27 mirrors that, but in a different way now.